Well, good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's had a great couple of weeks. We were off last week, so we're ready to kick back into gear. Hope everybody had themselves a great Thanksgiving last weekend for all my Canadian friends out there. I know I sure did. Me and the family went up north and enjoyed a nice weekend up on Rice Lake. So it was a great time to get out there and unwind and gear up for what's coming this fall season. Welcome to Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show, a show that brings you closer to the great outdoors with hot topics and interviews with YouTube creators and outdoor personalities that you watch and enjoy. My name is Dennis, also known as Canoehound. You can see that right down here. So, just get yourselves comfortable, get yourselves familiar with what's going on, and I hope everybody enjoys the show tonight. We're live here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and if you haven't done so yet, take a look below the screen. If you see a little red subscribe button, click on that and turn it gray, and then hit the little bell beside, and then you'll know when all of our shows are coming up. You'll get notifications, hopefully, and then you'll be well in tune with what's going to be happening with the show. Also, follow us on Facebook at Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show, and you'll know exactly what's going on all through the week with updates, news, little tidbits of information, things like that. So by all means, please do get in tune with us and get yourselves comfortable. Before I get into tonight's guest and the topic of tonight's show, I just want to update you on a few channel updates, and we'll do that while all our good friends are popping into the chat over here, and we'll let the show populate because tonight's guest deserves a great audience. Firstly, I'm pleased to announce that Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show has landed its first, well, not landed, but has picked up our first sponsor for the show. Backcountry Coffee Company has graciously donated some coffee to the show, so you'll see me burning my lips on some of this delicious hot coffee tonight. And I urge you to check out their website at backcountrycoffeeco.net, and you won't be disappointed. He's a local roaster. I first met him at the Outdoor Adventure Show in Toronto, and we kind of hit it off there, and I was talking to him, and like I say, he's donated a few different things to the show here. What I'm drinking tonight, I'm drinking some Aurora Roast, really nice full-bodied dark roast coffee, and then he's also giving me some Nono's Espresso, and I know he's named this coffee after his father. And I haven't got into this yet, but I got a feeling I'm going to be liking it because I like a nice, bold, rich coffee, and I need me some espresso. Got to get my caffeine fixed. So by all means, please do check him out at backcountrycoffeeco.net. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it, and glad to have you on board here. Secondly, I just wanted to throw a shout out to Chris Prouse. Many of you may have seen the video that she put out this week regarding the Canoe Flip Challenge. Well, she's nominated me to do the Canoe Flip Challenge, and what that is basically you got to take your canoe, and within a minute you got to in the portage posture and then back down again, and you got to do that as many times as you can in a minute. Donate a dollar amount to Project Canoe, and it's a great cause. And if you're wondering what Project Canoe is, it's basically a charity that gets underprivileged youth the opportunity to get out, try canoeing, backcountry adventures, and things of that sort. And it's just something that's if you're a true paddler at heart, then you can understand what a paddling experience can do for a person. So by all means. So my challenge video should be coming out this week sometime, hopefully before the weekend. And I'm going to be donating. I haven't determined how much I'm going to be donating per flip yet, but tonight is an opportunity. If you want to help me by adding or contributing, you can do a super chat down below. That's that little dollar sign below the chat. You can do a super chat. And what I'm going to do with all money that comes in from any super chats tonight, I'm going to tack that on top of my contribution, just to give them a bigger contribution and to help out. But if you don't want to do that and you want to check out the organization themselves, go to canoe.org, and you can go on there. You can find out more about Project Canoe, and you can also make your own donation on there. The only thing I ask is that you put Canoe Flip Challenge in the comment box where you make your donation, just so that they can keep track of what this whole Canoe Flip Challenge has generated. So I hope I explained that right. If not, go check out Chris Prouse's video. I will put it in the description down below after this the show, so you can click on that, go check it out, and it's going to be a fun time. I have a couple tricks up my sleeve. Thirdly, I'd like to congratulate the winners from the show 2 weeks ago when we had Kylan Marone on from Alone and Lure of the North. Congratulations to Chantel Simic and Vicky Lambert for guessing the right answers. We had just over 40 entries, which is pretty darn good. Thanks very much. Tonight we got another one going. We got a couple of great prizes that were donated from tonight's guest. We'll get into that around the 8 o'clock hour, so make sure you stick around for a chance to win some really cool swag. And it's going to be done pretty much the same way, where you'll have to email your answer in, and then we'll select from the correct answers the winners. And then lastly, on next week's show, we'll be joined by none other than Tori Baird from Paddle Like a Girl. And be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and we'll get to learn all about her program that she offers, Paddle Like a Girl, and how it's affecting so many women and getting them out into the backcountry and onto the water. So that's something great as well. Also, if you have any hot topics or guests that you'd like to see on the show or upcoming shows, please do send me an email at canoehound@gmail.com. That's canoehound@gmail.com. Let me know who you'd like to see or what you'd like to see on the show, and I will try to make that happen for you. I've got a lot of things coming down the pipe right now, but never hurts to get more. And I have a lot of people who have been suggesting the same person or same people or the same topics. So that makes it easy for me, because I could actually do something with that. And one last thing before we get to tonight's guest. If you have a question for tonight's guest or myself, as usual, please put the word question in capitals in the chat over there, okay? And then your question after that. It makes it more easy for me to recognize the question. I'll get it up on screen if I can, and we'll get my guest or myself to answer that question. Or after our swag giveaway, once again, I'm going to be inviting guests up onto the screen so that you can actually ask your question face-to-face. Don't be shy. Somebody expressed to me last week that they were a little shy. They had a question. They were a little shy. They didn't want to come on. Don't be shy. It's just a computer. That's it. So that's all good. Anyways, what are we? We're about 5 minutes into the show already. So let's talk about tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is a third-generation family member of the Madawaska Kanu Centre. Born to the world of whitewater, she's been paddling all of her life. Now she's sharing her passion with the world as she takes on her role as director. Her smile and warmth will have you feeling instantly at home as she welcomes you to the MKC, the Madawaska Kanu Centre. You might hear MKC a lot tonight. Please welcome to the show, Steffi Van Wijk. Hey, how you doing?
I'm well, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's been a few weeks into working. I know you guys just closed up for the season, so I'd imagine you're kind of taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's a lot to celebrate this season. We had a really positive and smooth season with all the challenges made our team come together.
Yeah. How big's your team?
I got a team about this year. We had to go probably 60% of the team, so we were at about 15 folks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, are they like full-time employees type of thing, or
this year they were, because we didn't want to have contractors coming in and out much. So we got 3 awesome folks slaying it in the kitchen, cooking delicious meals for everybody that lives on site. Mm-hmm. And we had 3 folks in the office doing like customer service and communications. We had 4 raft guides who are also like our operations fix it, clean it team, and bring in people down the river 3 times a day for 2-hour awesome trips. The most accessible whitewater rafting, I think, that exists. We take 2-year-olds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then we have the instructor team. So the folks that are teaching and sharing their passion and love for whitewater paddling.
That's great. So, Steph, before we get into the whole MKC thing and like, what you guys offer and what you do and all these different things, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Me.
Yeah, I want to know a little bit about you.
Ooh, okay.
This isn't a cheap dating site, so make it good.
I am a lover of nature and a believer in what paddling can bring people. I like what you said about Project Canoe. Like, really, I really know the impact of getting people outside, and so that's what I strive to do with my life: is to get people outside to enjoy and be a learner from the river. To learn from the river is kind of my goal, to get more folks to learn from the river. And then our slogan for MKC is learn from the river with the river. So you can be a part of it as you paddle with the river on the river. So
now, like I alluded to in your introduction, I kind of stole most of that from the website.
Yeah.
You obviously you've been born into the business, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you've been around us all your life. Like, what are some of your fondest memories of being in such a great such a great business that I'm sure many people would say, yeah, this is a great job to have, right? But you get to live it every day.
Yeah, I do it every day, and I grew up with it, and I don't know anything else. But there's never a day where I'm not grateful for how I grew up, and like how close to the river and nature I was, and also how many cool folks I was surrounded with my entire childhood. So between my folks also run a rafting company on the Ottawa River, so they're kind of two destinations, two base camps that I grew up at during the summer. And so between that, there's so many like international raft guides. So I got to everyone's like, how do you know how to speak Spanish? I'm like, oh, well, got to learn from, all the amazing professional river guides that come up from Chile and Argentina and Costa Rica. Wow. How was it to grow up? I don't know. It was amazing.
Yeah. Wow. And are you not the pride, but are you an only child?
No, I have an older sister. I have a fantastic older sister who is definitely a passionate riverista herself. People always say a different way than I am, but I think that as time goes by, we're more and more similar. She was kind of drawn to the more extreme side of whitewater, whereas I was drawn to the more exploratory nature immersion side of where whitewater brings people. So yeah, she lives in BC now, and we get to have her visit every summer, except for this one, which I love a lot. I haven't seen her since Christmas.
Darn this pandemic. It's crushed a lot of plans out there, that's for sure.
A lot of plans, and it's made a lot of new plans, and you can't deny the opportunities, and not the opportunities, but just like challenges bring people together in a different way, and I've been really grateful for that.
Right. And you guys basically did that because you mentioned that like you had a limited staff, but you guys still made things happen. We'll get into that because that's it's quite interesting that this whole pandemic takes over the topic of conversation so many times, and it's affected everything, right? Yeah. So you're just another business owner that this is actually obviously affected too. So, but
it's very, very scary.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk. Get into the MKC story a little bit. When did MKC start? How did this whole thing get together?
It's a beautiful thing, and I love talking about it because I'm so honored to be part of such a long history, especially when you're talking about like companies in Ontario. Like, there's not that many old companies in Ontario, especially in the outdoor industry. There seems to be kind of a group of wilderness companies that started at a similar time. So my grandparents started Madawaska Kanu Centre in 1972, right after the Munich Olympics, which is funny because my granddad went to the Munich Olympics to compete in slalom kayaking. Nice mug, coffee, delicious. There you go. So my grandfather competed for the Canadian team in Munich and was afraid to be a professional in his sport. So didn't want to make money kayaking because he was afraid that he would lose his amateur athlete status. So that's why Madawaska Kanu Centre was officially opened up its doors in August of 1972.
Wow, that's cool. So that's quite a steep history. Geez,
Yeah.
I wasn't very young. I was about 8 years old when that started. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's before me.
Twinkle in mom and dad's eye, right? Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your mom was what?
My mom was 10 years old.
Oh, okay. Jeez. I thought you said my mom was a 10.
As a 10, she also was a 10.
To your dad.
Everybody
Right?
knows
Of course.
She
Wow.
is.
Okay, wait. Sorry. We do the car just swerved right off the road there. Sorry about that. Hey, what happens on Canoehounds Out There Adventure Show stays here, right?
There you go.
Okay, so you guys started in like 1972. So you guys obviously have a very unique area that this is all taking place in, the Madawaska River. Why the Madawaska River? Like what's so unique about it?
Well, you got to come. You got to check it out.
I have intentions after I told you the story about my last big canoe trip there.
Yeah,
I need whitewater lessons and I'm coming to see you guys.
So for a number of very specific reasons. So when my grandparents were looking at a place to start a whitewater canoeing kayak school/resort, there's a number of things that you look for. So you look for whitewater that will challenge every skill level, kind of one of them. Another thing that they were looking for was the consistency. So the ability to teach people for the longest season possible in Ontario. And so that, I think, was the biggest challenge because there's a lot of whitewater that's fantastic in June. There's a lot of whitewater that's fantastic in July. But there's not that much whitewater that's fantastic and accessible from all the way from June, July, August, September, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a number of places in mind, and the Middle of Madawaska was one of them. And the Middle of Madawaska is a section of the Madawaska that we're on, and it's right downstream of a dam. And this particular dam, for some reason, and I don't want to get in, maybe I can get into this if you want me to, but they were making a dam to make power, so they flooded an entire area, and then it wasn't worth it. So now there's a huge dam, huge reservoir, and it's not worth to make power. So really what it does is it level controls for downstream bigger dams. So this whole dam's here just for level control and flood control. And it does a really good job of flood control. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. So what was I getting at? Right. So at the time, the dams, well, not even at the time, always, the dams are mandated to let a certain amount of water out depending on how much water is coming in. And so my grandparents went up to the dam master. So at the time, similar to a lighthouse, there was kind of someone who lived and worked at the dam every single day, and it was the same guy, and they called him the dam master. And they're like, okay, so from June to August, this is really interesting. I'm getting to my point.
No, this is cool. It's an education. That's why we do this.
From June to August, what is like the minimum flow? If we were in a drought, what's the minimum flow that needs to go through the dam? And they're like, oh, this amount of cubic meters per second needs to go through the dam in order to allow Arnprior's, which is downstream, their sewage system needed a particular amount of water to function. So even if it's a drought, they have to have this minimum flow. And so my grandparents like, okay, sweet, like when we're in a flood, it's fine. But when the water's too low to paddle, that's when we're in an issue. So let's take this minimum flow and see if we can concentrate it over a 7-day period. So over a 7-day period, we'll still have the same amount of cubic meters per second, but can we fluctuate it? Can we make sure that the river is runnable during the daylight hours, and then we bring it down all the way to just so that we're not affecting the fishery and the ecosystem. So so we brought the M&R involved and like, okay, what's the minimum that we can not affect the ecosystem? And then they came up with this fantastic like algorithm, which is we get water for a particular number of hours every week, and they don't work on weekends. The hydro OPG can't work on weekends. So we get power Monday to Thursday, 9 to 4. Amazing. So we have guaranteed water if we're in a drought, Monday to Thursday, 9 to 4, all summer long, which is incredible for recreational use of the Madawaska River. So for May and June, the river runs 24 hours at whatever level we get from the runoff. And then once all that runoff is through, then the river turns off at 4 and turns back on at 9 a.m.
Wow. That's incredible that your grandparents would think about that back, like, when they're trying to start a business in an area. That's interesting. I never thought of all that.
Cool. It's so cool. And we're so vulnerable to that dam and that agreement. And now it's considered the Madawaska River Management Plan.
Yeah.
So the stakeholders that are involved with that river management plan are obviously all the landowners, the M&R who's looking after, and so are all the landowners and the stakeholders looking after the ecosystem. And then the folks that are managing the river levels with OPG. And so, yeah, we hope that agreement lasts into the future, because if it doesn't, we can't exist.
Right.
The other, and we bring so many folks into this area that otherwise, wouldn't be a whitewater hot, and it's like a hot spot for whitewater for sure.
Sure. And
about this dam agreement, is that so most dams nowadays release water from the bottom, and so that's true for like the Grand Canyons, the Colorado River. It's freezing. Whereas naturally it wouldn't be freezing because it's in a desert and it's very warm. But because they release from the bottom of the dam, in the deepest, heaviest, densest part of densest temperature of water is 4 degrees. And so if the water were released from the bottom of the dam, it would be 4 degrees. And they did that. They released 4-degree water on the Madawaska. And then my mom at the time was director of Madawaska Kanu Centre, and she went to the M&R and was like, this 4-degree water must be affecting the ecosystem. And then they together went to the OPG and they were like, hey, like, is there any way that you guys can release from the top? And so then that also is an additional part of the Madawaska River Management plan, is that we have top releases which allow for like 25, 28 degree water, which is fantastic for paddling, swimming, rafting,
so your students aren't getting hypothermia right when they dump.
Exactly,
yeah.
And other recreational users of the river.
I'm surprised since 1972 that they haven't installed a controller right at the Madawaska Kanu Centre. So you can control it yourselves, right?
No, it can't be us. It's not us that's controlling the dam. It's definitely still OPG, and it's not just benefiting MKC. It's benefiting the whitewater community and the region as well. Wow.
Steve Boblin's got a question here for you there. How do you maintain good working relations with the stakeholders?
Lots of communication. So we meet up at the dam probably every 2 years. So we go to the OPG and we kind of amass like questions, concerns, comments. OPG also does town halls, which I recommend anyone that lives on a river that is managed by OPG, which is every single river, I think, in Ontario. They do town halls to kind of let the folks know what and how they're doing, especially after and before floods. And the M&R we are in constant communication with, because we also count spawning walleye.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. So cool. Just for their information, we just let them know because the walleye population is a really good indicator of the health of the river.
Wow. So when I come down for my course, I should bring my fishing pole then, right?
Sure. Yes.
That's all right.
It's ironic because we all know how much walleye are spawning in the spring, and none of us really fish much.
Right.
Yeah, it's whitewater folks and fishing. It's like there's a few of us, but like nowhere near the popularity of flatwater paddlers and fishing.
So now on the Madawaska, how long of a run do you have? Like how long is from your topmost input area to where you take out?
Yeah, it's about 7 kilometers. And let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rapids.
8 rapids? All ranging from where to where?
Exactly. All ranging from all the things. So we go class 1 is so whitewater is classified on a scale of 1 to 6. Mm-hmm. So class 1 is moving water, and then class 6 is by definition unrunnable, which is kind of cool because over time, some class 6s, if they get consistently and successfully run, they turn into class 5s sometimes. So we don't have any class 5s on the Madawaska or class 4. Some would argue that there's a class 4. It's a little bit of a subjective classification system, but I would say class 1 to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then like if you were to describe like the style, if I were to describe the style of whitewater, it'd be like technical river running.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you start your students gradually and slow, obviously. You're not gonna take them up to the very top and say, see at the bottom type of deal, right?
No, and that's the wonderful thing that our school's known for is being really welcoming of folks that are nervous and afraid and maybe don't even think that whitewater could be for them. Because I try really hard to remove the stereotype that whitewater is only for adrenaline junkies or whitewater is like by definition really dangerous. And the analogy that I often use is that whitewater canoeing or whitewater kayaking can be related to biking. So with biking, you have the extreme folks that like send cliffs. They, they need full armor. And then you have grandma going to the grocery store, mm-hmm. right? So we have the two spectrums, and you can say that that's a similar, it's the same spectrum in whitewater. You have the sendy folks, you have the chiller folks, and whitewater is for everyone.
Wow, that's cool. I'm getting excited just listening to this because I'll be there. I'll be there.
Excited to have you, Dennis.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the paddling courses and certification courses that you actually offer there. I know you guys could probably put somebody in a canoe that's never ever been in a canoe, right up to somebody like myself that's got 30 plus years of paddling experience.
Yeah.
And think I know it all, but I don't, right? So you guys have to deal with that on a day by day basis. So tell us about the courses, how they work, that whole concept.
Yeah. So what we try our best to do is group folks up with similar background and experience levels. So there's a lot of folks that have a ton of flatwater canoeing experience, but no whitewater experience yet. And so ideally, and most often, you'd be in a class with other folks in the same boat. Haha. Maybe different boat, but same class.
There we go.
So, the first day is all about kind of figuring out where folks are at, what their history is with paddling, what their comfort level is with water, what their goals are, because folks come with all sorts of goals to a course. Do you want to be able to go on northern river expeditions? Do you want to be able to get to the great fishing locations? Do you want to work on the communication with your paddling partner? Do you whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So many different whitewater instruction touches on all sorts of instruction. That's, I think, my favorite thing about teaching kayaking and canoeing. Day one, that's what it's all about. We start on flat water usually, unless people are already whitewater paddlers. And then you get used to the new equipment, because new rivers, new techniques often need and require new equipment. So, for example, our canoes have flotation bags in them that are secured with airbag cages, which are kind of just like a network of strings that are attached to the canoe. And what that is that when the boat flips over, it's easier to rescue. It'll float higher on the surface, and then also it'll get caught on rocks less, as maybe a upside down canoe is floating full of water down a rapid. It'll be less damaged if it has flotation in it. So it's like, oh, how do we navigate that? What's that? How do you carry a canoe if it has a big flotation bag in the center? Like, ooh, it's a little bit more challenging.
Right.
However, you don't have all your equipment, because that's the fantastic thing about MKC, is that you can learn how to challenge your skills with much less consequence as your expedition.
Right.
Right? Like you flip over, you're not losing 30 days worth of food.
I didn't lose 30 days worth of food. No. Carry on. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, that's the thing, right? If you are on a 30-day expedition, if one is, sorry, I'm not pointing you out. But yeah, that's what a big fear is. And that's when people are not challenging themselves as much on expeditions, because you're more remote, you have more equipment, there's way more consequences to flipping upside down. Whereas in front of Madawaska Kanu Centre, the consequences are so much more low, the water's warm, you have an instructor right there that's going to teach you how to rescue yourself and rescue you if, that is required. Yeah. So, wait.
So the whitewater courses now, they're not just canoe, you also offer kayak, right?
Yes.
Kayak lessons.
Yeah. So Madawaska Kanu Centre, it's an interesting history. So my grandparents were immigrants from Germany, and the word canoe, Kanu, is actually kayak in German.
Oh, interesting.
And the way that people in Germany say canoe, the way that we know it, is they refer to paddling a Canadian canoe. So you gotta go paddle a Canadian is their word of a canoe, which is kind of cool.
Okay. See, we have our own. We have our own, right?
It's a Canadian canoe, native Canadian canoe.
Do you have a preference? Are you a canoeist or a kayaker?
Everyone always asks me that.
Inquiry minds want to know.
Yeah, I don't have a preference at all. I love paddling. I love rivers. I love the outdoors. I love river people. And gathering outside on a river is just like my favorite thing in the world. So it doesn't matter if we're in am I going to say it? Raft. It doesn't even matter if we're in a raft or a canoe or a kayak. If we're having fun outside and on a river, it's a great time. Yeah. But
I was just going to say, do you offer rafting right there at the Madawaska Canoe, or is it at the Ottawa River location only? Both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both. So on the Madawaska, we run very accessible, very mellow, and I'll call it a float trip. It's a float trip. So they're 2 hours long. You get to go all the way from the dam to the lake. So you get to see all the rapids on the middle Madawaska River. And it's a great way, like we bring so many folks down the Madawaska who would never otherwise be able to experience traveling down a river. So that's the wonderful thing about rafts, is it makes it so much more accessible.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you must know quite literally every rock in that river. You've been there for so long. Does it change? Does much change from year to year?
Sometimes. The 2017 and the 2019 spring floods changed some stuff around a little bit. But yes, I know that river very well. And I'm very connected with it. Like I love that river. It's taught me a lot.
Yeah. Well, when you're brought up in the area and So some of the courses you offer, obviously the whitewater. I know there's other courses that you also have available that are not even whitewater related.
Yeah.
Like?
We run we work with another organization called Raven Rescue to facilitate their rescue safety and medical courses. So whitewater rescue is a huge part of being a recreational paddler and a professional paddler. So we offer those courses throughout the season, mostly in the spring, but throughout the season. We have a 2-day kind of recreational it's a recreational safety and rescue course called the Rescue for River Runners Level 1. And then we have a 3-day Swiftwater Rescue Technician course, which is the funnest course you'll ever take. You're just swimming around rapids, rescuing your buddies, learning rope system, learning knots, learning mechanical advantage, pulley systems, how to pry your canoe off of a rock if it gets stuck. And then the other courses that Raven helps us with is the wilderness medical courses. So the wilderness first responders, advanced wilderness first aid, those courses. And we run at least one every year, usually in the spring.
Mm-hmm. How useful would those rescue technique courses have been last week there in Algonquin? I'm sure everybody heard of the tragedy that happened in Algonquin there.
Tell us about it. Wait, I don't know. Your trip? No.
Last week there, I believe a 32-year-old from Toronto died on Opeongo.
Oh my God.
There was 3 of them in the canoe. I guess it capsized. 2 of them were made it to shore in the 3rd one, and they were wearing life jackets. So it just goes to stress that anybody that has the opportunity to take one of these rescue courses or to learn, self-rescue in a canoe, it could be a pretty valuable thing. It could save your life, even if you are wearing a life vest, right?
Dang. That's a tragedy. That's a loss for.
Yeah.
And it's interesting this year too, because there's so many more folks that are new to the backcountry getting out there, which is amazing and something to celebrate. Also something for all of us to look out for and help manage, because there's folks that don't know how to travel the backcountry that are getting out there and maybe not aware of the risks. And so those courses that I mentioned, I think the most important is always prevention. So being aware of the risk is going to help you stay safe. Maybe, hopefully not necessarily in a rescue situation, but definitely in like a knowing how to prevent things from going on. And Opeongo Lake is very windy. It can get very wavy. This time of year, it's so cold. Yeah. So I'm all looking to the story of that, because that's
quite tragic. But you just alluded to it. It was something that probably could have been prevented had the people involved known what was going on. Like I heard accounts and seen accounts, and this is just secondhand accounts, but that the water was rough, it was cold, it was stormy.
Yeah.
And just really there again, recipe for destruction, right? So, but enough of the sadness. Let's keep on with the happy stuff. So, got a question here from Cool Quest. They'd love to take a whitewater course, but they're in Michigan. Do you know of any places there, or should they just wait until the borders open back up and come down and pay you a visit?
Well, I would say the latter. We have a lot of guests that come in from the States usually. And this year, obviously, that's not possible. We miss you guys. And we look forward to the time when we can have you back safely. Down in the States, there are a number of schools. They're in Michigan. The Nantahala Outdoor Center is quite a bit south of you guys. They have stopped their canoeing programs, but they do whitewater kayaking and rafting courses. You can look into the Outward Bound programs. There's great Outward Bound programs all across the States. And the same thing with Knowles, the Outdoor Leadership School. They often have good programs too. Yeah.
Is there like an association for whitewater courses? Like,
Yeah, there's a number of associations. You can go to a website like paddling.com. The American Canoe Association, ACA, is kind of the equivalent to our Canadian organization, Canoe Kayak Canada, or Paddle Canada, are both great organizations that kind of organize and certify instructors. So through Paddle Canada, like paddlecanada.ca, you can find a bunch of whitewater canoeing and kayaking instructors that might be able to offer you courses. And then the same thing, I'm not in the States, but ACA is the certification body that certifies American canoeing and kayaking instructors.
There you have it. All right. So I want to know, when a person comes to MKC, describe, okay, you offer different packages, obviously, that you offer, like one day. What type of packages do you offer?
Yeah, we're super flexible. But what I like to say is our main programs are our 2-day weekend program. And our most popular is our 5-day Monday to Friday course. And you guys know why. Monday to Friday, we have water on our site. And then by the time, so it's Monday to Thursday, we have water. And then Friday, we don't have water. And so by that time, you have enough skill, you can go and travel and go on a river trip. So that's a cool celebratory thing at the end of the 5-day course, is that you go on a river trip to test your skill and see what it's like to be on a new, different river in this area, still with your instructor, to still ask questions, to be there to lead you down and to obviously rescue you if things get tippy,
get a little crazy. So with that being said, okay, we'll go on the pretenses of a 5-day trip, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Monday morning, run us through the itinerary. Run us through.
Yeah, I started before and then I got all caught up with the first day. So you guys already heard the first day. You're kind of meet and greeting. You're talking about your goals. You get suited up with all your rental equipment or bringing your own gear, whatever you need. Heading to flat water to just get acquainted. And then as soon as possible, we try to get people in and out of current. And so the cool thing is like getting, like, how can you, in a controlled way, go from and it's called an eddy, like the pools in whitewater where it's calmer. So how do you go from there into the current and then out again? So you kind of do an introduction to that, go back for lunch, go back on the river all afternoon. And then in the evening, there's a snack every day at 4. As soon as you get back on the river, you can kind of chill until supper, hang out with all the other paddlers that are learning. They might be beginners, they might be advanced. So it's really awesome. Everyone's learning something. Everyone's paddling all day. Dinner's at 6. And then after supper, there's always an evening session. So maybe it's a recap, a dry land session, what's going on. Maybe people are going to get all artsy and draw a picture of the river and all the features and help you with learning how to do some river reading, which I can argue is like, it's kind of like reading music. You know, at first you see a rapid and you're like, oh, what is going on? And then, you know, the day later, over time, you develop the skill of reading it and you can tell, okay, if my boat's there, that's exactly what is going to happen to the river, like to my boat. The river's going to move it this way. So I have to anticipate it with these moves, these techniques. And then Wednesday comes around and everyone's super exhausted. So we take a half day and the afternoon we get a massage therapist in and everyone has the opportunity to, you know, get a massage if they want. Otherwise, we go to the beach, which is upstream of the dam. And we work on rolls, which is a skill for whitewater paddlers that everyone, wants. It's kind of...
That's like the recovery roll, trying to get yourself upright.
Yeah, so if your boat flips upside down, how to get back upright without getting out of your boat and having a boat full of water. In a canoe, inevitably your boat's going to be full of water, but in a kayak, you can get upright without getting any water in your boat because you have a neoprene seal kind of around your cockpit. And then the other thing about the beach afternoon is that you can try out different boats. So the canoeists get to try kayaks, kayakers get to try canoes, maybe solo canoes. If you're there for a tandem course, you can try the fun solo play boats. Anyway,
Mhm.
Wednesday, awesome. Thursday, you're back on the river all day, honing all those skills. And then we have a big award ceremony on Thursday night. And then Friday, you head out on a river trip. So depending on water levels, what's good in the area, there's tons of rivers to choose from. And then you head out and get shown a new spot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's really a full week. So there's like an itinerary that you guys, or a whole schedule that you're bound to, type of thing, and then evening is sort of recreational.
Yeah. Bound to is like a little intimidating, but kind of the structure. And the cool thing about that structure of the course is my grandparents designed that 5-day course, and it's just it works. It's a great progression. The third day off to relax works really well.
And then what about accommodations, meal plans, things of that sort?
Yeah, our meals, amazing.
Yeah. I've heard that a few times.
One of the huge reasons why I love working and living at Madawaska Kanu Centre. So yeah, our kitchen team makes everything from scratch. They love serving and cooking meals. It's so inspiring. And they're buffet meals, and we all eat together in a big dining hall that has kind of like a canoe museum, a Canadian. It's actually, we have some overflow from the Canadian Canoe Museum in Peterborough. Kirk Whipper donated some of the boats to us because the museum didn't have enough space. So it's a gorgeous dining hall. And so most folks do meals with us, unless it's a budget issue. And then obviously you can do your own meals. You can, we have a fire pit and kind of like we actually have, it's really cool. We have a circular building that has a fire pit in it, like inside. And
Really?
this big, like blacksmithed welded, like it's not a hood fan, but it's a fume hood, but it's like not electrical. It's just like the big it's a chimney. It's so cool. And that was one of the original buildings that was built. So I think it was like 71 it was built. Really cool building.
Wow.
And then, so I would say most folks camp and do meals with us, which is kind of a cool combo because you get to have like the rustic experience of sleeping outside and also have all your meals cooked for, which is pretty awesome. We also have indoor accommodation. We have a dormitory and we have lodges, which are kind of like simple hotels, but without the ensuite bathroom, which we're not quite fancy enough to have anywhere with ensuite bathrooms. It's all a night.
Not yet, right? Not yet.
Yeah, the communal wash house is nice, but it's like it's a communal wash house. And then we also have cabanas. They're off grid, so they're kind of 100 meters away, like up into the forest, and people can pay for their like a private cabana, and it has like their own patio and solar lights, and it's gorgeous.
And all this is contained within your property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how big are the grounds?
12 acres of forest.
Well,
yeah.
Nice. So, and just out of curiosity, what price range is somebody looking for, like a week, like low end to high end?
Do I memorize my prices? Yes. Okay, let me see. So if you wanted to just camp, do your own meals, and do instruction, it would be, I want to say, like $200 a day. So what's 200 times 5?
About $1,000.
$1,000. Yeah, $800,000 if you want to just come for like paddling and camping. And then if you wanted to add on accommodation and meals, that brings you up to probably about $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of everything for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So now you mentioned earlier on that you had about this year 15 instructors because of COVID. You had like far less than normal.
Yeah.
What does it take to become a MKC instructor?
Yeah, great question. You got to be passionate and kind. Is the number one. And it's funny, right? Everyone's like, how much experience, what certifications. And yes, experience and certifications are important, but I would say that passion and kindness are number one. You need to love paddling, and you need to really want to share your love of paddling with other people. And after that, we have paddling instructor certifications. We used to do it in-house, but we like working with other organizations and recognizing internationally recognized certifications. So for kayaking, we work with Canoe Kayak Canada, so you need to have a level 1, level 2, or level 3 kayak instructor certification. Mm-hmm. And then for canoeing, you have to have a Paddle Canada intro, intermediate, or advanced instructor training. And then you need to have a wilderness first aid certification and a whitewater rescue certification as well. So it's kind of the triad,
right,
of certifications.
So when somebody comes in for a 1-week course, then, or do they leave with any type of certification, or is that just basically now go out and have some fun type of thing?
Both. Yeah, they can if they want to. So they can, during a 5-day course, they can get a skills certification with Paddle Canada. Mm-hmm. And that'll help them if they wanted to, if they wanted to pursue then getting their instructor certifications, because you need the skills certifications as a stepping stone.
Yep.
And it's also helpful for some companies, some guiding companies recognize these skills certification to kind of allow you on some of their more adventurous trips.
Okay. So I want to ask the people in the chat, has anybody in the chat actually been to MKC or taken a course? If you have, put a number 1 in the chat. I'm just curious to see how many people have been there to experience what you have to offer. And while that's happening, I got a quick question here from Market, the other guy in the canoe. What's the longest whitewater trip you've been on? Running rapids, and how much gear?
Cool. I've been on a 26-day trip, and I've been on a 23-day trip. And the 23-day trip was an incredible destination. Very classic Canadian destination, the Nahanni River.
Bucket list.
Yeah, I've done 2 3-week trips down the Nahanni. So one was the source to not the sea, but the kind of where it pours into the Liard River. So that's like an incredible whitewater destination. It's like the first 6 days are just nonstop rapids. The other 3-week trip that we did on that trip was really cool on another year. I did the Nahanni, but then we stopped on the side of the road and did a 6-day hike, and then came back to the river and then kept going down. So that was cool. I used to guide for Black Feather Wilderness Adventure Company, who does a great job of bringing people down the Nahanni and many rivers all around Canada. Mm-hmm. Kayaking, hiking, they do all sorts of trips. So check them out. They're fantastic if you want to go on a northern expedition. And the other trip that I did was a really cool trip. I guided one trip for a youth outdoor education company called Gould Lake Outdoors. It's out of Frontenac Park near Kingston. And they had a really cool trip. So it was 2 weeks. A week and a half in Killarney, a week and a half canoeing, like flatwater canoe tripping, and then a week and a half on Georgian Bay. So we went from Killarney to Key River, so sea kayaking, and then we did a week of whitewater on the Madawaska, and it was just really cool to bond with grade 11s and grade 12s for such a long expedition. Great organization.
That's cool. Does MKC do any or offer any guided tripping at all?
No, there's too many companies that do such a great job at guiding, and we have such a beautiful site that we kind of premise ourselves as the place you come to learn, to be able to go and challenge yourselves out there. Right. And we partner up with a lot of the companies. So we partner up with Nahani Wild and Black Feather and Canoe North, and they send us some of their clients to get trained up to be able to have the whitewater experience. So someone like yourself who doesn't have much whitewater experience, but if you wanted to go on a canoe trip in the north or a canoe trip that has whitewater on it, then you'd come, do a little tune up and then head out. Well, and we can kind of say, okay, hey, Black Feather, like Dennis is, he's pretty good at this, but watch out for him in this.
Yeah. Get him tuned up.
Yeah.
Geez. We had a few people put into the chat that so that they have actually been there. The other one I was going to ask too for the chat is how many people could see themselves taking this course or wouldn't mind taking a course at MKC. Put a number 2 in there. I'm curious. Maybe we get a whole bunch of Canoehound adventurers to go out there one day and have like a week-long Canoehound adventurers course. That'd be cool. That'd
be awesome. We'd love to have you. Sorry, I get distracted reading all the comments.
Yeah, you know what? There's been a lot of great comments. There's been some good questions. I apologize to anybody that whose questions I may have missed, but don't forget, I'm going to invite you up to join us here on panel in a few minutes, and you guys can ask Steph firsthand any questions that you may have. Where are we here? So we talked about a typical weekend or a full week course and the itinerary. You talk about the food.
Yep.
So what's so special about MKC food?
Oh, man.
And that's not KFC food. That's MKC food.
No, MKC food. Great times. Yeah, what's so special is maybe the hunger that comes with being a paddler, paddling all day outside. And then just eating together with other folks that are passionate as you are. So also the team, like the kitchen team, they're also paddlers. Like they got paddling more than I did this summer. So the 3 folks in the kitchen, Mika, Rhiannon, and Alex was the team this year. And yeah, they paddled like so they have a break. They have a huge day, right? They make breakfast, lunch, a snack, and then dinner, right? For 50 people every day. And so they have a break between breakfast and lunch and a break between lunch and dinner. And they pretty much go paddling each time. It's awesome. So they can share with you their love of the river, just like your instructor that's hanging out in the river can.
So the ones that make the lunch, their lunch break is actually paddling. So that's that's pretty cool, right? I got a question for you. Now, I've recently joined the realm of these people that have purchased one of these new pack canoes.
Okay.
Are you familiar with them? I own a Swift Prospector pack boat.
Nice.
Do you offer any courses in those? Because it's a canoe that you're sitting in with a kayak paddle. Is there anything that's offered for something like that?
Not yet, but I really want to. And they've gained so much popularity because of their like ability to be awesome. Like you can carry them, you can travel around with them. There's so many places that you wouldn't be able to go with a regular canoe that you can't put in a backpack. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would love to. I mean, any course would be applicable. You can we've had a couple students bring pack rafts onto a regular canoe and pack canoes too. And some people call them, they all have different names sometimes, but yeah, the river knowledge is going to be applicable no matter what craft you're in. There's some things specific to the boat that the other students are going to be in, but I recommend taking and just chatting to us about what course. I am excited with more interest and with more folks that have pack rafts to offer specific pack rafting courses. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's something too I never thought of is a pack raft. I've got a pack boat, which is like one of the Swift 14-foot.
Okay.
The ones I'm talking about. Yeah, they're and I've wondered about taking that
cover, and it's got the ribs, the.
No. It's Swift makes them. It's a Prospector 14-footer, but you sit on the floor like you would in a kayak. So it's got a kayak seat in it.
Okay.
Right. You sit center of the canoe because it's a solo boat, and you use a kayak paddle to paddle. And
cool.
they're kind of made famous by guys like Joe Robinette and these other guys that do a lot of paddling of Swift products. But I was just curious to know if you actually offered a course, because I've been really leery on taking my pack boat down a set of rapids, right? Just because
What's it made out of, your pack boat?
it's a Kevlar Fusion. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very light. Like they're made for the solo tripper to cover a lot of distance with your gear and get there fast, right? So
okay, so we're talking about different things, because I was talking about there's been so many more folks with like inflatable and foldable boats.
right.
That's been happening. So that's like a whole new thing that's so exciting, because you can bike with your boat, you can run with your, you can go on a hiking trip with a boat. But you're talking about like a pack boat in terms of like a canoe that has the ability to take packs and
exactly.
Yeah, I would say that the challenge, it would be awesome on whitewater. The challenge with that would be the fragility of the boat, because it's so light. It's very crackable. And so what
scares me.
do exactly is learn in someone else's boat, like learn in a rental boat from MKC.
Yeah.
And then all of the skills, like all of them, are going to be transferable back into your pack raft, but at least you're going to know what the limits are. Because when you're in this rental canoe, you could be like, oh, like my boat wouldn't be able to handle that.
Yeah.
But I can still see,
So let's talk about the fleet of canoes you have. You say either a person can bring their own canoe, or they could use rental canoes from the facility. What type of boats are you renting?
Yeah, we have tandem canoe. Our tandem canoes are all made of either Royal X, which stopped being made like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then since then, Eskeef has started making a new similar product called T-Formex. And why those two products are awesome for whitewater is because they're 2 thin layers of ABS, and in the interior it's foam.
Right.
So it's like this foam sandwiched between 2 layers of ABS, so that it's waterproofed. But the great thing about that material is that it's light, and it's like pretty bendy. Like you can feasibly wrap a canoe around a rock if it gets stuck kind of like around a rock. It can like literally bounce back and be usable for the rest of your trip, if not forevermore. So yeah, most of our tandem canoes are Royal X. Mm-hmm. And then we have some solo canoes they're called solo play boats. So some Dagger makes some, Eskeef makes most of them, the ones that we have. Mad River, yeah. And then,
are those the really short little stubby looking canoes with the water walker?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Rocker is great for whitewater because you can turn a lot. So we have a few tandem canoes that you can solo as well. But mostly folks that come do solo courses are looking to do kind of slow whitewater play boating. So if you Google like an Ocoee canoe or a Zephyr, a Eskeef Zephyr is a great solo canoe.
Mm-hmm. How often do you change your fleet over?
Well, it depends, because the Royal X, when it stopped being made, it definitely makes us hold on to those boats. But this time of year, like right now, we're doing a boat sale. You can check on our Facebook page. There's a list of kayaks and some canoes that we're selling, and you can check that out. So
gently used, of course, right?
Gently used by our rental. Yeah. I mean, boats can last, eh? Whitewater boats are meant to last. They're very durable.
Yeah, like I've also got a 16-foot Novacraft Prospector made of Royalite, right? So it's a lighter version of the Royal X.
Okay.
And those boats, if anybody out there is ever looking for a canoe that they're not worried about hitting rocks with, those are the boats to try and find on Kijiji or something like that, because you can roll over a rock and you'll see the form of that rock on the floor of the canoe, just sort of like all the way down the length of the canoe. And you just look at it and go, oh, there's another story on the bottom of my canoe, right? But and they could take a head-on hit and they'll just dent a little bit, and they're hard to kill.
To it, and it just molds back to its originals.
Yeah, they're fantastic boats for that. So we'll take one more quick question here from Avid Outdoorsy Guy. He's asking, are Kevlar and carbon boats very popular for whitewater? I think you kind of almost answered that one, right?
Well, yeah. So popular, the answer is no. Not popular. Possible? Heck yeah. So, I mean, there's whole camps that do whitewater expeditions in cedar canvas canoes. So if you can do something in a cedar canvas canoe, you can do it in a Kevlar or a carbon canoe. My solo boat is made out of carbon, pure carbon. It is made by a friend of mine and a MKC canoe instructor who's also a boat maker. His name is Andy Convery, and his company is named Echo Paddles. He's not making boats much anymore, but he makes paddles still, and they're beautiful. So it's a mold that was designed for a plastic solo canoe, and then he made it out of carbon. So possible, awesome, but not popular.
Yeah, especially if it's your own, right? Yeah. So Martin Pine from Pine Martin here says we beat the crap out of our MKC rental while we were learning. I was glad I didn't bring our own canoe.
There you go. That's what they're there for, right? You want to learn, you want to challenge yourself and to push yourself, what you want to, so to your challenge zone, obviously. And yep, that's what they're there for.
Cool. Okay, we're at that 8 o'clock hour now where we're going to be giving away a couple of things here. First things first, I'm going to throw the link into the chat here. And if anybody wants to come on panel right now and ask Steph a couple questions about MKC or whatever, come on up. Most of you know the routine that just please turn off the volume on your YouTube feed and go by the volume on your StreamYard feed. It's very simple. Don't be shy. We're just a bunch of friendly folk up here that have a common interest, and we share the love for the same thing here. With that being said, while we wait to see if anybody wants to come in, I just want to say hi to a bunch of people in there that just popped in. I see my son-in-law just popped in. Hey, how you doing there? Good to see you. And Kevin Callan. You know Kevin Callan?
I have met him at a couple events, but we're not friends yet.
No, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. Maybe we'll convince him to come up there too, because I know he doesn't do a lot of whitewater. I think he's a flat water paddler. So
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, we could convert him, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
That's awesome. Okay, as I was saying here, we're going to get into giving away a few things, and I see that Stephanie has actually set up a few things that to give away. She's donating. One prize is $200 off a whitewater canoe or kayak course at the Madawaska Kanu Centre for 2 or more days. And then the second one will be 2 free whitewater rafting spots, a trip for 1 adult and 1 child, valued at $108. Thank you very much for donating those.
Of course.
And let's see if we can put them into the hands of some people that will actually use them. And of course, whoever wins, I'll also send across a Canoehound Adventures prize pack, as I always do. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a question in a second. Let me just get my little thingy get ready here for the bottom. There it is. Okay. So basically, I'm going to ask you a question, and what I need you to do is send an answer to COAS, that's Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show, prize at gmail.com. So COAS prize, COASprize.com. Sorry, I'm confusing myself here. And the question that you have to answer is, in what year was the Madawaska Kanu Centre founded?
Ooh.
Okay. We mentioned that a few times earlier on in the show. What year was the Madawaska Kanu Centre founded? Don't put it in the chat. You don't want to give away the answers. But I'll say I was already born, so that's the only clue I'm going to give. And I was 8 years old. So yeah, send an email to COAS. I'll leave this on the bottom of the screen here for a few more minutes. If you don't know the answer, you have until Saturday, October 31st, Halloween, at 11 o'clock to get your answer in. Watch about the first 15 or 20 minutes of the show, and you'll actually catch the answer a few times on there. I just want to also allude back that I had mentioned earlier in the stream that I was nominated by Chris Proust to do the Canoe Flip Challenge, and I'm going to be raising a bit of money for the Project Canoe. And anybody who puts a super chat in tonight, that'll be going on top of my donation. So any super chats that come in tonight, thank you. They're not going to go to me. They're going to go directly to Project Canoe. And just to say also that when you do a super chat, I think YouTube makes their money on this stuff, right? So basically YouTube's going to take their cut, but I'm going to donate the full pop. So I'll make up the difference and get that across because it's such a good cause. With that being said, I see we do have somebody down in the basement. So one more time, what year was the Madawaska Kanu Centre founded? Email me your answer. I'll let that go on the bottom for a minute. So Steph, you ready to talk to somebody else?
Sure.
All right, so let's bring to the stream somebody that's obviously been on your in your courses before. This is Martin from the YouTube channel Pine Martin. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you, Dennis?
Great. Things are going well.
Good. Steffi, it's really nice to speak to you. Thank you so much.
I like your canoes on the wall behind you.
Oh, the paddles, yeah.
Canoe paddles.
Yeah, so I am one of the people that took the 5-day course, so the week-long course for tandem paddlers. And I just want to reassure everyone that you're not just boasting. You're not just, making stuff up about how great it is and how cool the water temperature is and how steady the flow is and how great the food is. I can attest to it. I mean, here's proof. I still have the water bottle that I got. They give you, I don't know if they still do it. This was in 2007. But I mean, they give you the water bottle. They write your name on it, and then they tell you that the reason they're putting your name on it is so that when you wipe out and you disappear, they can find your water bottle and they know who's missing. That's literally what they told us. But my wife and I had been paddling flatwater for many, many years, and we felt pretty confident in a canoe, but we had never really done whitewater. I mean, we tried some river trips and stuff like that, and we found out very quickly that it doesn't matter how many hours you have logged on flat water. When you're in a river and that current is taking you along, even if there's no rapids, you don't know what you're doing. You get bounced around from one bank to the other, and you get spun, you get broadsided and stuff like that. We didn't really know what we were doing. And I had watched videos. I'd watched all the Bill Mason videos and read instructional books, the MacGuffin books, Bill Mason's books on all of that stuff. But you have to actually know what to do and have someone model it for you and explain to you and critique you on the spot. And that's what you get at the Madawaska Kanu Centre. You get someone who's really, really experienced, take you through everything. So the first thing that we did on day one was we just paddled around above the dam, which is completely flat water. It's just a reservoir, and just learn the basic strokes. So that our instructor was able to find out, what do we know? We could show what strokes we knew. And then right away, okay, I want you to roll the boat. I want you to roll over so that you can get out of the harness, because we'd never been in a situation where you're sitting on a saddle and you're strapped in with 5 straps, right? Yeah. And you're kind of nervous about what happens when we get in the rapids and we wipe out. How am I going to be able to make a wet exit to get out of this boat? And so that's the first thing they do, is after they figure out what you know and what you can do, and teach you a few things, they have you roll the boat, and after explaining how you're going to get out and stuff like that, so that you lose your fear of wiping out. Mm-hmm. So that when we were finally in the rapids and actually learning the techniques and wiping out again and again and again, because we didn't know what we were doing, it was without fear. We felt completely confident and safe. And so that's one of the best things about this. You're going to end up in some pretty big water. Like on day 5, when we went down the Ottawa River.
Yeah.
We saw rapids that were completely unlike what we had practiced and trained on. We didn't go down those, but we were taught how to read those rapids and, why that souse hole was deadly and why you didn't want to go anywhere near that. So there were no rapids in sight that they wouldn't stop and tell you and explain stuff to you. Even though you're not going to shoot those rapids, they would take time to explain to you. So that is still one of the highlight experiences of my entire paddling life. My wife and I still talk about it, and it was 13 years ago. We still talk about how fantastic it was. Yeah, the instructors were so good. They were all so helpful. They were all so positive. You could ask anybody a question at any time. And there was a lot of peer learning because there was a lot of people there, practically everyone there, was more experienced than my wife and I when it came to this kind of stuff. So it was just fantastic. And there was always entertainment in the night. It's not like, you came back from a day of paddling and out in the sun and tired and, you would eat a sumptuous meal, but then you just like collapse, have nothing to do. There was always some kind of entertainment, recreation, whether it was with your fellow paddlers or the instructors had arranged something, or they would show video of you and critique your technique and stuff like that. It seemed like there wasn't a minute that was wasted. Everything there was geared to motivating you to improve and giving you actual practical advice on how to improve. It was terrific. I have nothing but fantastic things to say about it. Without reservation, it was a positive experience.
Well, so many great memories, Martin. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was still wonderful. So I have one question for you, Steffi.
Yeah.
I should let you talk now.
No, that was fantastic. Way better job than I did.
Martin, we have nobody else in the basement, so we have time.
Okay.
Don't be shy. Come on up.
Yeah, people should come in because this is fun. You're going to have questions about little mundane things like what's it like, and concerns that you have. But so my question to you is, what's the future of MKC? Where are you going? Are you going to do anything different? Do you have any new programs lined up? Like, sort of what's in store for MKC and any of your customers in the future?
That's a great question.
You might not have any. It's not like you're doing anything wrong. I didn't see any improvement.
And that's what I say to folks is, like everyone's like, oh, you're taking over. Your mom is stepping back. Well, my mom's stepping back, and it's like I'm third generation, so I'm kind of the third leadership change, second leadership change, but third leadership to be able to take care of MKC and lead it. What am I changing other than things that inevitably change with just who I am as a leader, as opposed to who my mom is as a leader? Very same values, just different character, different person, different year, different generation, right? So it's, I think, kind of things that are unintentional more, because it's been 50 years of paddling instruction, and we value feedback so well. We intentionally receive and have everyone write out positive and negative reviews for us before they leave, and we listen to that every single time someone takes a course. So we're always on our learning path of how to offer the best program that we can. So I guess more of the same, more of that, more of being the best program that people can come and visit and talk about and share for 13 more years after.
Yeah. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
I have to say, actually, even after we left, we were able to continue working and practicing because one of the things that our instructor left us with, and all the instructors did this, was a full write-up. It was like a report card of your performance, and it detailed everything that you had learned and where you needed to improve and what you needed to stop doing. And, and it's little things like I was already a fairly experienced flat water paddler, so I thought I knew what I was doing in a canoe.
Right.
And one thing that I had learned, that my body had learned, just muscle memory, was the J stroke. Yeah. And we found out very, very quickly, you got to stop doing the J stroke. That goon stroke that you were told as a flat water paddler to stop doing. Well, when you're in whitewater, that's the stroke you want. That's the one that really corrects quickly. And it isn't a slow, gentle correction. It's a quick, hard jerk. John, who was the instructor, man, if it had been me in his role, I so would have lost patience. I could not remember to do the goon stroke.
Yeah.
And so I was late all the time in executing moves and stuff like that and course corrections. And he just kept endlessly reminding me, never got ticked off, never, and until finally I got it. I started to sort of train my body to not do what it was doing automatically and effortlessly, and to make myself do something that I had literally trained myself never to do again.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's an interesting thing that you bring that up, because it can be a point of contention for folks who are so attached to this idea that this is a bad way of doing it and this is a good way of doing it. And it's like, no, it's just a different way of doing it. And they both have their purposes. A traditional J is a fantastic stroke if you're not managing the movement of the river as well as the movement of your canoe and the movement of your paddle. There's kind of like three things happening. So like if everything's all nice and slow and calm and smooth, you can kind of bring it back behind you, flip the paddle over, slice it back through the current, through the river. Whereas if you need to do something really quick with a very stable, like when your paddle is the other way around with your T-grip thumb up, you're so much more stable that if the current were to catch the blade of your paddle, you can fall onto it so much more easily than if your thumb was down. It would kind of throw you over and in the end actually hurt your wrist.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I got catapulted right out of the boat.
I would have paid to see that, man.
I wish someone had recorded it. It's too bad there were no cell phones in those days, but it would have been priceless. It was pretty hysterical. And my wife didn't know I was out of the boat. She felt the boat kind of rock and do something weird, but she was trying to execute some moves, and then next thing you know, she got broadside because I wasn't there in the back of the boat, and so the stern of the boat was just suddenly flying up in the air, and she got spun broadside in it.
How did all this learning translate back to your flat water canoeing?
Oh, it was huge, actually. It had huge effects. Well, I mean, even when you're a flat water paddler, you're going to be going down creeks and rivers and stuff like that. So two things. When we did find ourselves in moving water, like, creeks and slow moving rivers and stuff like that, I understood what was going on. I understood what I needed to do. I understood all of the things that I thought were intuitive that were in fact disastrous ideas, right? I knew the counterintuitive things that you had to do.
Yeah.
It also helped, like when you want to do an eddy turn, there's this thing you have to do where you initiate and you tilt and all that. But even just carving turns on flat water, just going down a narrow, windy creek, right, where there's all these switchbacks and bends and stuff like that. When you're in a tandem boat and you know how to carve a turn, right? All I have to do is pick up a little bit of speed, just get a little bit of momentum, and then my wife and I both know what to do, and we know how to lean the boat. And so even in flat water, it was a boon. And the other big thing was communication. So there's probably a lot of couples that break up or have huge fights, and we saw some, actually. We saw people just sort of getting ticked off, arguing in bow and stern and stuff like that, right? And the instructors are all very cool at sort of making sure that the lid stayed on the pot, right?
This is a very serious topic, and it's hilarious that Kevin's taking off your pants for you, Dennis.
I know. You know what? There's a big story that's going to happen here, I'm quite sure. Before we get into that, though, Kevin, good thing those things are new, eh?
Sure, they're new.
Pants off on TV, Kevin?
It's amazing.
Those are Kevin's new gitch.
Dennis, did you wear these before you mailed them to me?
I did not. They were brand new, fresh out of the Costco package, my friend.
Are you sure?
I own a print shop, and that's why I got the logo on there.
Okay,
You're asking me, and you're wearing them on your head?
No, that's why he's wearing them on his head. He's hoping you wore them first.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Gosh.
I would like to know if the Madawaska Kanu Centre actually has logo gitch like Dennis does.
I don't know what the definition of gitch is.
What?
Showing our age again.
It is actually. Yeah, you are showing your age.
Yeah.
Ask your mom, Claudia. Say Kevin wants to know if she knows what gitch is. She'll laugh. So, yeah.
Gitch is a slang term, an old slang term for underwear.
For underpants. Okay.
Okay.
You don't sell logoed underpants, but I might. It'd be kind of fun.
Well, Kevin's the only one that owns a pair of Canoehound Adventures underpants.
Really?
Yes, man. They were a one of a kind.
Oh, wow. You're so special.
Wow. I actually, because the other day I kind of didn't do laundry, so I had to wear them for real. So
That's okay, man. You can. They're fresh, brand new Gitch.
wow.
They're real.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I wouldn't send you used ones.
Sorry,
not a porn star.
I'm going on a weird tangent here, but yeah, Madawaska Kanu Centre, like we've met before, but I know your mom a lot more than you, and also a lot of the staff that have gone through your place, and all good stories, all good stories.
Thanks.
So it's fantastic. I know Pine Martin has gone off and great tangent about how great you are, but really nobody really listens to him. So
I did.
I'm just joking. I love Pine Martin. Just to reemphasize what he's saying, it's for real. I don't know how many people I've actually said you should go to this place, learn how to whitewater paddle. It's great food, it's great camping, great camaraderie, and it's been going on for years. So it's fantastic. However, your mother made me go through a tube in downtown Ottawa, I was terrified. It was on film. I forget what film we were working on. I arrived and she had me in a kayak. And I double bladed it, Dennis. I double bladed this kayak. And I went through. Is that still going on? Where you go through this like it's a day course?
It's so cool. Well, we don't do courses there much anymore. The Ottawa River Runners is a club that works there. And works on that section and kind of runs that section. They're awesome. But it's such an amazing spot, eh? Like downtown Ottawa.
It's not terrifying. You go through a culvert that turns into black.
After the whitewater, in between the whitewater and the Ottawa River, before it pours it in, you got to go through a big, dark, scary culvert.
Yeah, with whitewater turning around you, and you see like a keyhole ahead of you, and you're like, hope you don't die.
Yeah, and then if you're in a raft, they say, oh, like, we weren't supposed to go down here.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah, it's kind of their kitschy, whatever. They want to scare people.
Oh,
it's
great,
scary.
great.
It's dark. And it's in the city, and then sometimes there's like weird things like shopping carts and weird things in the water there. So
really? That didn't happen. All I know is I was working for this tourism thing, whatever, and I arrived and there was a camera crew, and then your mom was there, and she goes, oh, by the way, we don't have time to really go over everything. So Kevin, you're just going to go through that turret of black water, and good luck to you.
And successful?
Oh, I was fine. Yeah, it was good.
Still here.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, Martin, I have a question for you. Because you took this course, have you utilized the course? Have you done any whitewater trips with your experience?
We haven't done any whitewater trips, but now when we hit a section of moving water that looks a little dicey, we know how to read the rapids, right? Well, we're not experts at it. We only took a week-long course. But what happens is, this is another thing that stays with you. Whenever you encounter rapids, you always want to stop and look at them now. You want to sort of go up and down the bank and figure, how would I go if I were to go down there? I mean, sometimes you go, well, I think I could get this far, but then it would just, beyond my ability. So you portage around it, right? Nobody drowned on a portage. So we always play it safe. And you don't want to and we're by ourselves. It's usually just my wife and I. So we don't want to sort of wipe out, get hurt, or, lose some equipment or something like that. So we seldom shoot rapids, but every once in a while you'll go, you know what? We can do that. We can do that with confidence. But then we'll stop and we'll negotiate and figure out, okay, well, what's our route going to be? Do you think it should be this way, or should it be that way? Sometimes we'll do it together. Sometimes my wife will go on shore. She'll be downstream in case, I wipe out and need a rescue, and then I'll go down. So yes, sometimes we do, but we've never done any actual trips where we plan to shoot rapids. But every once in a while, there's like just something that is technically challenging. And I learned so many things. Like, I used to think that shooting rapids was like you had to go faster than the water, because you either have to go slower or faster than the water. If you're moving at the same pace of the water, you're just being helplessly carried, like a log down the water, right? So you have to be moving faster or slower relative to the water. And I always saw, video people having fun. They were just paddling like crazy, or you're kayaking like crazy and just launching themselves down. And one of the things I learned on this was, now you can go much slower and give yourself time. And that's my style. I always give myself lots of time. I never just sort of try to blast through something, assuming that I'll be able to execute the maneuver. So I don't have enough confidence in myself in whitewater conditions to think that I could just blast through something and I'll deal with whatever happens, right? I don't have that confidence. So it has applications, right? And another thing that has huge applications, just to continue answering Steffi's question from earlier about lessons that we've imported, a huge one is the distinction between risks and consequences. One of the things that we learned in this course is when you're looking at rapids and asking yourself, should I try that? Let's say you're just out on a day trip, right? There's nothing, you're not going to be lost out there or anything like that, right? You ask yourself, what are the risks? What's the chance of wiping out? And then what are the consequences, right? Yeah. Is there a cliff and waterfall downstream, or is there a rock garden where I'm going to get smashed up and really, really hurt? Or does it just empty out into a big, quiet pool, right? And then you can say, okay, well, this is kind of riskier. There's a good chance I'll wipe out here, but the water is nice and deep. There's not a lot of rocks. There's not a ledge. I'm not going to get sucked into some souse hole and get, washing machined around or anything like that and risk drowning. So this ability to sort of look at a river and analyze it in terms of risks and consequences. And if the consequences are low, you can say, well, okay, maybe I'll get wet. Maybe I'll wipe out. Maybe I'll, bang up my boat a little bit, right? And then other times you'll go, yeah, the risks are very, very low, but the consequences are very, very high. And I'm not going to attempt it. It doesn't matter that this is probably well within my ability. I'm out on a wilderness trip. I'm too far away. It's just the two of us. If something goes wrong, we're in trouble, right? If I miss this eddy turn, I'm committed to, another awful set of rapids that I haven't read yet, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been really helpful that way. It gives you a respect for moving water that we didn't have before we went into it.
Right. So, Steph, when did you take over the driver's seat at MKC?
Three summers now. This is my third summer officially.
Third summer. And are you instructing yourself, or are you too busy in the day-to-day operations?
Kind of both. Yeah, I try to steal out onto the river to teach as much as I can. I love teaching. And
what's your specialty in teaching?
Yeah, everything. So
a bit of everything.
I can teach the instructor training courses. So I love teaching teachers how to teach better, how to be the best instructor you can be.
Sure.
And I love intro. I had a lot of fun intro kayaking students this summer, and that was really fun. Intro to canoeing, I love it because people are like, oh, why? Like, if you were to choose, I can choose whatever course I want to teach, right? Like, why choose beginner? And I just love it because really you're forming someone's relationship with whitewater. Like, what a privilege, So I like that. I like to have that privilege.
Cool. That's cool. OG in the canoe is asking, does learning how to run rapids help you be a better paddler in the wind? And
for sure. Like you're learning how to deal with different things that are happening to your boat, right? So whether or not it's the influence of a river, currents, wind. The wonderful thing about fluids, as in air and water, is that they act in a similar way. So currents in the river are also very similar to how wind acts, and so you can read the wind, and also tide works the same way as a river as well. So yeah, reading how fluid dynamics, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm gonna take you way back, Steph. Do you remember your first experience in a canoe? First time, like paddling with mom and dad, or what's?
I don't have like this is the first time, because I think I was a toddler or even a baby, right? But yeah. I have many early memories. I remember my dad. So we often have a slalom race on our section of the river there, the Middle Madawaska, on the Chalet Rapids. We hang slalom gates, and we have a yearly race. And sometimes we get to like hold like a championship of sorts. And I remember my dad wanted to race in the tandem category, but with me, and I wasn't even I think I had like one of those little mini canoe paddles, and I would probably just like drag it in the river. Anyways, I just remember being in his bow when we were in a race course, and just like every stroke he took, it was like woof, woof, you know, just like being like jet propulsed through the world. That was the best feeling ever. So that was an early memory. Similarly, there's tandem kayaks. And so when I was really young, I would be in the bow of my mom's kayak. Yeah, we did lots of trips as families too. There's a memory of my sister, my mom, my dad, and I being in one tandem sea kayak all together.
In one, okay.
Yeah. So my mom was in the front with me in her lap. No, oh, whatever. I was in one of the laps, and then my sister was in like the center, whatever the center hatch. Yeah. And they made her a little spray skirt that was like it was a hatch cover, but with a hole for her body in it. So
that's cool.
Like a family unit in one kayak. Hopefully we wouldn't. Yeah, if we would flip, that wouldn't have been very fun. That's a good lesson from your lesson, Martin, there. Risk reward. Like, let's not do anything risky if all of your family is in one kayak.
Mr. Callan, I've watched numerous videos of yours, and you don't do whitewater.
Oh, that's bullshit.
No, he's got videos.
I've not seen, or not that I can recollect. I've never seen you do much whitewater.
I have.
Well, you've got a good point. However, I did write a book called Rivers of Ontario and Quebec.
I realize
that. My canoe buddies will say that you're right, that I'm phobic of whitewater. However, I really enjoy a river journey because it takes you on a journey. A river really does more of a journey than actually. In fact, I went from Algonquin all down the Madawaska all the way to Calabogie to the Ottawa River. David Thompson's journey. So I did a whole bunch of rivers, but I'm really I don't think I'm all that good at it. Mind you, when I did the Spey River in Scotland, Ray Goodwin, amazing paddler. I was terrified going down this river in Scotland because it's continual white water for 5 days all the way to the ocean. And the first hour he goes, "What the hell's wrong with you, Callan? You know what you're doing. You just don't know you know what you're doing." So, but in my guidebooks, I always told people to do the portage. And even though I would run the rapid, I would write up do the portage. And it was actually, you know who told me that was Joni and Gary McGuffin. Joni McGuffin said, "Well, you know what? You know, you're a sissy pants. So you didn't run the whitewater." I go, "Well, I did, but in my guidebooks, I told people to look at it first because I don't want to be responsible."
No.
Like, Pat Wilson's guides are amazing guidebooks, but he shows great detail on how to run the whitewater. What I did in my guidebooks was totally different. I said, "Portage it. If you want to run it, so be it. Do it." But I'm not telling you to do it. So I'm just a totally different person that way. I love running whitewater, but I got to tell you how I judge it. If I got to pee before I run it, it's a little dangerous. If I have to poop before I run it, it's serious crap. I'm Madawaska. The last run, stuff. The one that's just before the outfitter that does the shuttle. You got either the left side of the waterfall or the right side of the waterfall.
Which river are we talking?
The Mad.
Okay, Raquette.
Yeah. So I've run the right side quite a few times, but I gotta tell you, when I finish and I'm floating with water completely in the canoe, but I'm upright, I've successfully run that rapid. But if I
have to be pretty sometimes.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So it's one of those. So Dennis, what I'm saying is, I think you should tell your story about your last trip. Forget me.
I discussed that before in the green room. Yeah.
No, not the green room. In fact, I think you do a share screen of that.
I think everybody should watch my last video to see
Can you show it now?
Why I need to take lessons.
Yeah, because Well, the thing is, when you run that rapid, series of rapids. Actually, I've run that. I never put that route in my guidebooks because of those rapids there, because they're it's a good run, right? And there's not a lot of portaging. It's all bushwhacking. But why did you guys? You didn't really dump, but you kind of like went sideways, whatever. It's because the two dogs sitting up top, right? So
I could tell you exactly what happened. It was a series of factors, right? It was like it was a recipe for destruction. we had full canoes, as you know, like you said, it's all bushwhacked. There's no portage on either side of the rapids there. Water levels were very, very, very low. So basically, it was bony as heck, right? We were going through, and every rock was just under the surface, right? And we were able to navigate around the ones that we could see. And you ever get those conditions where the water just looks black and you can't see into the water, even with polarized glasses on? That was the situation there, right? So we had heavy canoe. All our gear was in there. Me at 220-ish. And my buddy at close to 200. 2 dogs. Like I say, wow. I usually paddle stern when we do whitewater, because we've done the Spanish River and different rivers and had great success. I wanted to paddle bow because I wanted to get some great footage for YouTube, right? So I got no experience in the bow of a canoe in whitewater. My buddy, on the other hand, that was on the stern, no problem, right? So yeah, like I say, it was just one thing after another. We had our line picked out, except for the one rock that we didn't see. And that's the one that threw us sideways, threw us right off our line. And when the dogs started going overboard, right? My dogs, they're not big dogs, but my dog, when she went over, and of course, first thing you want to do is you want to try to correct, right? You overcorrect, and before you know it, you're on your side, and the canoe is swimming around. And yeah, it was a recipe for destruction. I'm just glad that the water levels were not higher. Mind you, if the water levels had been higher, we might have had more success.
Yeah, you would have went through. You would have went plowed right through there if that.
Yeah.
So Steph, you would tell Dennis basically. When have you seen the scene? It's a really good learning scene, because I learned how to paddle whitewater by watching Bill Mason videos.
Okay.
I know, stupid, but that's how I taught myself, right? Because I was not internet. Oh my God, what's it called? Shy, geeky kid. So, no, what's the word? Dennis Pine Martin. What am I thinking? Introvert. I was an introvert, and internet.
Not all introverts are geeky.
Oh no, you're right about that. Absolutely right about that. But whatever. So I did that, and then I actually learned how to paddle whitewater after that by paddling it, and then paddling with friends, and then in fact actually went to your center too, and taught course. Good Lord, I took courses back in the late '80s, early '90s at your place. So
cool.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And then I gained confidence. And I think what's going on in your scene, Dennis, is that you have the problem I still have, is lack of confidence of finding the line, reading the river and knowing how to run the right V is critical. It's critical. If you don't know the line, then shit's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a language. Like I was telling Dennis earlier, like, being able to look at the rapids and looking at the current and being able to anticipate everything is like, yeah, it comes with time. You just gotta feel it too, right? You gotta, and the cool thing about rivers and currents is that they're the same always. Like you look at the river, like the currents are moving, but it's not like an ocean where like, oh, every wave's a different size. It's like that wave is always going to be the same size unless the river level changes. And yeah, no matter like, and the other cool thing about rivers is that you can make them really big, but if you were to bring them really small, it's the same dynamic. So you can, like, on a little creek in your yard or like in a puddle on the street, you can create the same dynamics as on a huge river. And my favorite thing is to make little like foam kayakers, and then you can put them down rapids, and that's a great way of learning how to read read whitewater and read currents is what would happen to that little, even a stick. What would happen with that little stick would be the same thing that would happen with your boat on like a bigger scale. You're like, okay, like this is like the currents being pushed away from that obstacle. It's not able to pass. So then it goes around the obstacle. Water always wants to go straight. Water always wants to be flat. So it always turns around corners the same way. It always wraps around obstacles the same way.
I always look at it playing poo sticks. Winning poo sticks.
Yeah.
No idea.
It's extremely educational.
And by the way, avid outdoors guy, this is my first scotch of the night. The reason why I'm not talking all properly is because I dealt with Bell today. Oh my Lord. 4.5 hours dealing with, I changed my phone plan and they cut my whole internet off. Oh, don't get me started. So it's not Scotch, but that's good. Yeah. I should know how to pronounce introvert expert. So, the whole what has changed from when you were growing up at the Mad Center, and has it changed? Do you find that whitewater paddling is not as a big thing as it was back probably 10 or 12 years ago? Because there was one point where squirt boating was the thing, right? Banana, right? And now everybody just wants to go for the weekend in Algonquin paddling on a straight lake.
I don't know about everyone. It's interesting because I'm in it, like, right? I'm surrounded by tons of amazing, passionate whitewater paddlers that get after it every day. So for me, no, like the community is just getting bigger and more stoked and more diverse too. Like people who are in it for totally different reasons, from different backgrounds, who got in it different ways. That's always amazing. I think that in the past, it was always a similar way that someone got into whitewater. Nope, I don't think it's getting smaller. I think that people might be afraid of the whitewater community a little bit more with the dawn of the like the media, the Red Bull TV kind of only showing a particular side of whitewater, and then everyone else being like, oh, that's obviously not for me because it's too extreme and too scary and too dangerous. And I would argue like, no, it's not. That's just one portion of the sport that's not for everybody, but it can be for you if you want.
That's cool.
I'd say like, I mean, we're alive and well. Madawaska Kanu Centre has lots of students from all sorts of walks of life and all sorts of skill levels coming back year and again. So
Did you find this year that you had more newbies?
Yeah, it was interesting. We had kind of the kind of like ends of the spectrum. We had brand new folks that were like, I don't even know why I'm here. What am I doing? This is awesome. And then like who've never been in a paddle, like never paddled anything before, never been in a boat, never been on water. Lots of folks who can't swim. That's always exciting. Because we're all wearing life jackets anyways, so you can paddle if you're not a swimmer. It's just a whole different thing to learn, right? And then the other spectrum was folks who've been coming here for many years. We have, so many guests that have been coming for 30, 40 years every single year. And the Madawaska is equally home to them as it is to me.
Are they coming for the learning experience or just because they love the river?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. They all come for different reasons. They love the river. They love the people. They love paddling. They love learning because every time they come, they're being taught. They're taking a course.
It's a cool place to hang out. You really got to go there, Dennis. Like, it's so cool to hang out with all these people.
Well, I was telling Steph, I have plans on booking something this year.
I'm holding you to it.
Yes, you can because, like I say, I really want to brush up, even if it's for like the same type of thing that Martin, just knowing it so that you know it when you encounter it, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But Matt Hahn's asking, do you have any winter activities on your property?
Not yet. We have, my grandparents and my parents used to open up like in the early days. So in the early 80s, I would say late 70s, they opened up for cross-country skiing in the winter. But it started to get just so much work. Like anyone who has like a non-winterized cottage would know, like opening it up midwinter to then just shut it right back down again with all the plumbing is definitely a task. So right now, this is the first season that we're staying in the office all winter long. So my grandparents did winters in Toronto and then up there in the summertime. And then my parents did winters in Ottawa and then up there only in the summertime. I'm doing winters here. So for the first time, we are going to be, the office is going to stay heated. And we're doing there's a local baker who's coming and doing some sourdough making workshops and using our commercial kitchen. So I'm really excited about that. There's a couple folks who are like professional farmers who want to like do canning and need a commercial licensed kitchen to do their stuff. So they're going to rent it out through the winter a bit. I was thinking of doing a couple more yoga retreats because we've done now a yoga retreat annually for 2 years. So
you have the resources. Why not use them, right?
Yeah, it's like semi-winterized.
Yeah.
Not really. It's like got heat and a little bit of insulation. So it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. Well, so Kevin, when are we booking?
Come together.
Yeah, we got maxing boxers, so we're good.
There you go. You know what? It's a funny thing too, because remember towards the end of last season, we had talked about a gathering of people, and this is amid all the COVID stuff that was going on, right?
Yeah.
I believe Kirk Whipper was it was Tim, right? I think it's Tim. And we were talking about a location, and heck, MKC might be a good location for something.
That would be cool. Really cool. And yeah, because like Party Martin, you and I were supposed to go paddling together, and then all of a sudden the world came to an end. So yeah, I don't know. That would be really good. And actually to go to that center, that'd be fantastic. I don't know you guys. There's no connection at all to you guys. I just know your mom well. I know your staff really well. In fact, a couple of your staff were neighbors of mine for many years, right beside me in downtown Peterborough.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was really good to see you guys here tonight. So.
Awesome. Wow. So what's Steph got planned for the winter now? Like, I know, aside from what we just discussed, what do you have planned for the winter? Is it all planning for next season now?
Yeah, everyone's like, what do you do in the winter if you're closed? Yeah, all the work happens in the winter. So it's just me and my colleague, Greg. And all the reservations, keeping up with like making the website pretty, marketing, all the accounting happens, hiring, buying, planning. It's fun. But personally, I'm excited to kind of move. I'm moving to this area, right? I've never been here. I grew up here, but only in the summer times. So there's a cross-country ski club, Opeongo Nordic. I'm excited to be a part of them. I'm going to teach some kids how to not kayak. I do that in the summer. I'm going to teach some kids how to cross-country ski. And what else am I going to do? That's it.
Winter camping. Winter camping.
Around here. Yeah, winter camping. Yeah, make some new friends during a pandemic. See how that works out.
There you go, Kevin. Ethan's trying to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Stand at the border and wave at us.
Yeah, you poor bugger. Oh God. Hey, I feel bad for you.
Yeah. By the way, Kevin, I liked your canoe flip challenge.
Yes, and no
Nice take on
pressure, Dennis, but good luck with that. You okay?
It's all planned. If it wasn't raining yesterday, I would have done it yesterday. Today I was too busy. But yeah. Well, and some of us got to work for a living, right?
Can you flip a canoe on your head every day? Is that the challenge?
No, it's as many times as you can in 1 minute. So basically, you flip it up, put it over, and back down. Flip it up, right? So.
Okay, does it matter what kind of canoe it is, though?
Well, you know what? I have two canoes. One weighs like 58 pounds. The other one's 30 pounds. So,
Oh man.
I don't know. Keep it all as a surprise. My wife and I have been planning this one, so.
Oh, really? That's cool. I when Chris sort of asked me, and it was so funny. I was my last day at the teaching the students at risk guys, right? and they were kind of rangy. They weren't paying attention. I said, well, you know what? Let's flip a canoe together. Because I'm an old aging person that can't flip a canoe. So they did it for me. Well, it was really cool because I said, well, I had no paperwork for them to be on camera, and I'm thinking, well, I can't do this. But they're all wearing masks because of COVID, so I'm thinking we're covered. So. Yeah.
Well, you did an interesting take.
Nominate Pine Martin there. You have an injury, so hope that gets better. However, you could be creative.
Yeah, I could. I was thinking about this. So yeah, I got nominated by Chris before she made her video. She contacted people that she was going to nominate, and she asked me if I could participate. I have 2 injuries. I have a lower back injury, which makes portaging difficult, but especially picking up and putting down a canoe. And then I have this terribly acute tennis elbow that I've gotten in recent months. It has kept me off the water most of the summer. Actually, it's been that bad.
Oh,
yeah. So I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to do this. But then afterwards, when she uploaded her video, she said, well, you can be creative. You don't actually have to lift a boat. You could take a picture of your boat and lift that over your head. The whole point is to be creative, right? But by then I had already made my donation. By the time I saw that. So I don't think I need to make a video in this instance. But I don't know. Maybe I'll think of something.
It's been a while since you've had a video out, Martin. You need to put out a video.
It's been since March. So, but anyway, actually, I have to leave in a couple of minutes, but I want to say something for those people who are sort of thinking about taking a course at the Madawaska Kanu Centre. I want to give some advice to people who are going, and it's very simple. Don't bring your own boat. As we said, rent their canoe and paddle, but bring your own PFD. You'll be more comfortable in your own PFD. Don't rent a PFD when you get there. So unless you don't have them. Go for the meal plan. We saw people outside, cooking outside on the little camping stoves and stuff like that, eating their, crappy little backcountry pantry meals while we were feasting like kings inside. You do not want to miss out on that. There's so much peer learning that goes on and camaraderie that you want to enjoy. So go for the meal plan. And there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of choices too. So if you have sort of dietary considerations, there's a lot of quite a bit of variability there. And bring vitamin I. Bring ibuprofen. If you're taking the week-long course, you will have sore muscles because you're going to paddle when you're tired. You're going to be paddling much of the day. You might take a knock or two. Even if you don't take a knock, when you flip out of a boat and then you're swimming around and stuff like that, things get a little sore, and you pull muscles and stuff like that. Nothing that an ibuprofen won't cure. I'm an old guy, so if I can do it, you can do it. So that would be my advice, and you'll have a great time. It's a fantastic learning experience.
Okay, in honor of you, Pine Martin, got a canoe on my head.
There we go. Maybe I should be challenging you for the challenge, right?
Yeah, someone needs to challenge Steffi.
No, yeah. It's on. Yeah.
That's all right. Anyways, guys, we're nearing the 9 o'clock hour. We could probably chit chat all night long, but all good things must come to an end. You three, please stay on board here for a minute until the show is over. Just want to talk to you in the green room once things are over. So we're going to pack it up. I just want to go over a couple of things. Once again, I want to thank one of my new sponsors there, the Backcountry Coffee Company, for supplying me with some really good roast. Yeah. I made my coffee in a French press sitting right here, right? And this stuff is good stuff, but you know what? I've been burning my tongue all night. They gave me a little tumbler as well, and it's hot. Hot. So anyways, good coffee. Check them out, backcountryco.net if you're interested in some coffee. Next week on the show, we have Tori Baird's going to be our guest. We're going to be talking about Paddle Like a Girl, something that's really taken off like fire for her. She's teaching a lot of ladies how to get out there and experience paddling and the backcountry. So by all means, please do tune into that. You never know. We might even find out what her beast of a husband Jim's up to these days, because I know he's off on another adventure as well. Tonight's question was, what year was MKC founded? I did put a couple clues on the screen there. I don't know if you guys caught that, but make sure you send your answers into COASprize@gmail.com. and that'll get you in for the prize. Some good ones there. And yeah, that's probably about it. Let's see here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Check out the Madawaska Kanu Centre website. That there is in the description below. All kinds of more information on there. There's videos on there that you can check out and get a better understanding. And who knows, maybe we'll get a little gathering going.
And no, sir, like I won these from last week.
You want to tell everybody the story? Tell them the story.
How did you win?
How did I win?
I
yeah.
asked the question.
Yeah,
you got the answer. Yeah.
It's like a couple of weeks ago. You were basically asking what you made for dinner on one of your episodes.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it, and you were surprised I even watched your show. And you started crying because nobody watches your show. Oh, woe is me, whatever. But I watched your show. It's a great show. And it was lasagna. And then you cheered up and got excited, then mailed me a whole bunch of free stuff. And one was a pair of your underpants.
I had lasagna too. Do I get a prize?
I will mail you these.
My underwear.
I'll mail you these.
Okay. Hey, some women wear men's underwear. I don't know.
I know. I thought you meant, do I want your underpants? I like boxers. They're comfy.
They would be new. I promise. If anybody ever got a pair of my Gitch, they would be new. Okay, just like that. They were fresh out of the Costco box. I told my wife, I go, hey, wouldn't it be great? I'm going to put my logo on a pair of Gitch and going to send them to Kevin as a prize.
Well, the funny thing, though, Dennis, was Christine was here when I got the package, and I went to put them on, just them. And she goes, no, Kevin, no. Wear your clothes and put the Gitch on over your clothes. Please, for the love of God, do that. And she did, and I did, and she took the photo, and we're all thankful for that. Yes. It could have went really badly if I was just on my own that day.
Well, you know what? I got a chuckle. You had quite the pose there going. If anybody wants to know, go on Kevin's Facebook page, and I'm sure you'll see the post.
That was exciting. I don't get gifts a lot. I was excited.
Yeah, it's always neat to open up a present. Right?
Great.
Yeah. Anyway, Stephanie, thank you very much for spending your Tuesday night with us. It's been an awesome time. Hopefully, you'll check out the show again in the future, and we'd love to have you on again sometime.
Sure.
So, Kevin and Martin are regulars on the show. So, and yeah, we've had a pretty good crowd in here tonight. So I just want to thank everybody in the stream tonight also for your great questions and for showing up on another Tuesday night. So that's all good stuff. Yeah, that's about it. So we'll see all you guys next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. And yeah, keep the adventures alive, everybody. Have a good night.
It's not too cold to paddle yet.